How's it going, everybody? My name's Tyler. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Just kidding, you've never been here before. So today's video is a book tag video, and I was inspired to do one by my friend slash acquaintance, friend acquaintance? I don't know what you'd call her. In the words of that famous singer that one time. Somebody that I used to know. And Mary did this video on the book tag, so I wanted to do one. Let's get into it. There's 10 questions, as proposed by the New York Times, I believe. First question, what is on your nightstand right now? Let's go through the list. My nightstand exclusively holds books, pretty much, so it's going to be a long list. First one, Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Great book. Next one, Headhunter by Timothy Finley. Better book. Next one, The Whistling Shadow by Mabel Seeley. I don't know, I've never read it. I'm using it as a book safe. See, there's a hole in it. The next one, The Quran. By God? Is it by God? I don't know. I haven't read the whole thing yet, so don't quote me on that. The next one, the wonderfully special edition version of The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. Really nice book. Next one, Welcome to Night Vale. I want to read this one so bad. And last but not least, The Cambridge Encyclopedia of the English Language by David Cameron. This is a textbook, but really, really cool book. It's like completely color illustrated. It's gorgeous. It's, like I said, a textbook, but I would suggest picking it up if you're a language nerd. I really like it. Question number 2. What was the last truly great book I read? Now, in my notes here, I have written down The Wars by Timothy Finley. It stands out in my mind mostly because I read it at a very influential time while I was in high school and I was trying to decide my life. And it kind of piqued my writing interest or my interest in the literary world in general. It's a great read. It is so chillingly beautiful. Timothy Finley is one of my favorite authors, and I highly suggest you read it. You will not be disappointed. Question 3. If you could meet any writer, dead or alive, who would it be and what would I want to know? I wrote down either H.P. Lovecraft or Edgar Allan Poe. What would I want to know is a good question. I would probably ask H.P. Lovecraft if he sees in his dreams or even during the day in his mind the things that he writes about, especially the monsters and the atrocities that he's written about. Does he envision those things? Can he vividly see those things? Because if so, that poor man was tortured. It's said that he's had schizophrenia. So, I mean, that's a very valid question. I would assume that he probably did see some of these atrocities vividly. For Edgar Allan Poe, I would ask him, again, something similar as to, just where all that darkness came from, where the angst originated, and if it's something he deals with all the time. Question number 4. What books might you be surprised to find on my shelves? Manga. I love manga, loved manga, I guess past tense, I don't really read so much anymore. Back at home with my parents is where most of my books reside, just because I don't have enough room here in my apartment. And littering the shelves of my bookshelves at home is manga. Everything from Dragon Ball Z, weird manga like Rosario the Vampire, things like that. Like I said, I don't really read much anymore of manga, but I used to read it a lot, so I have a shit ton of it back at home. Yeah, that's one weird thing you'd find on my shelves. Question number 5, how do you organize your personal library? For the longest time, randomly, I would put series together, such as like the Harry Potter series is all together. My Twilight books are all together. Yes, I've read Twilight, whatever. Things like that, they would all be clumped together. And then the stuff that I would read again, I would put near the front, and the stuff I would not read again, I'd put near the back, because my bookshelves were like 2 layers deep, so I could put books in front of other books. Now my books just kind of get thrown everywhere because I don't have a proper organizational system. They just kind of sit on my nightstand or on the floor, which is kind of unfortunate because some of them get dusty and gross. Question number 6. What have you always meant to read and haven't gotten around to it yet? What do you feel embarrassed to read? My engineering math textbook. Haha, just kidding though. Seriously, the one book that I really have never gotten around to reading is The Hobbit. I even bought this with the intention of being like, oh, it's pretty, it has a map in it, I'll read it. And I still haven't. There's been just like so many other books that have grabbed at my attention first, and I know that as soon as I read The Hobbit, I'm probably going to want to continue with the Lord of the Rings series, and I just don't have that kind of time. So I've been putting off reading The Hobbit for a very, very long time. Anything that I'm embarrassed that I haven't read, yeah, probably the Bible. I'm not religious in any way, so when I have arguments with religious people, specifically about the Bible, I feel bad because I haven't read their source material, and yet I'm making arguments against their belief system. Question number 7. Disappointing, overrated, just not good. What books did you feel you're supposed to like, but you didn't? What was the last book I put down without finishing? Good example is Paper Towns. I'm a huge John Green fan, and yet I put Paper Towns down maybe halfway through. I read Looking for Alaska first, and I loved it. I love Looking for Alaska so much, and so when somebody told me, oh, Paper Towns is kind of like Looking for Alaska, I was like, oh, cool, I'm gonna like that story too. And so I started reading Paper Towns, and very quickly I started to realize that it's exactly Looking for Alaska. I probably would have liked Paper Towns more if I had not read Looking for Alaska, but because I had, I couldn't do it. I couldn't get all the way through it. So yeah, read one first, then not the other. Question number 8. What kind of stories are you drawn to, and what do you stay clear of? I'm drawn to historical fiction. I love historical fiction because it's the world you know, but it's also different in a way, and it allows you to be sensationalist in the way that you write without being too science fiction-y and not relatable to real people. Timothy Finley is a great example of historical fiction writers. What was it, Famous Last Words? It was a really, really good book by him about World War II and some of the events that took place during World War II. Some of the book is actually historical and some of it is fiction, and it just works so well together. I also am a fan of horror novels and like mystery intrigue kind of novels. If there's something I stay clear of, it's usually romance novels I just have no interest in. And I don't really like biographies or non-fictional writings that much, just because they don't bring anything new to the table. It's just information for me. Number 9, if you could require the president, or I guess in my case the prime minister, to read one book, what would it be? I would force Trudeau to read an accounting textbook. No, but seriously though, Trudeau probably doesn't read anything. He just gets his slaves to read for him. I couldn't recommend specifically one book for someone that important to read. I feel like somebody in that position has to be well read and a variety of different things. Question number 10, our last question of the day. What do you plan to read next? I plan on reading Welcome to the Night Vale next. It's been sitting on my nightstand / in my travel pack for a really long time. I do a lot of my reading while traveling because it gives me lots of free time, and I just didn't have as much free time on my last trip as I thought I would, so I haven't read it yet. I've heard it's fantastic. I've given it as gifts to people before because I've heard it was fantastic, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading that. I'm currently reading Headhunter by Timothy Finley, also a fantastic historical fiction piece you should check out. But yeah, that was the 10 book tag questions. Thanks to Mary for the inspiration for this video. If you liked it, leave a like. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.